Have you ever heard of the halo effect? It describes people's tendency to let one positive trait guide their overall opinion of a person, a product, or an experience. For example, have you ever thought to yourself that beautiful, cool people seem to get a slightly easier time in life, that maybe, just maybe, their traditional beauty or even their height might be giving them a little bit of a perception advantage that the rest of us don't get? Well, you're not wrong. Studies say that people who are attractive, tall, or otherwise physically gifted get a bit of shine that other people don't. Economists have even estimated that being attractive could earn a worker an extra $230,000 over the course of their career. And that's the halo effect at work. It's a principle brands have been using in their marketing forever. But it doesn't start and stop at putting beautiful models in an ad. There are lots of kinds of halos. Celebrity is another kind of halo. Talent, achievement, these all lend a certain shine and sparkle to people that brands want to capture for themselves. But if you think that just slapping a famous face on your ad means you've nailed the halo effect and sales can only go up, you're wrong. The halo effect has the power to create, transform, and even resurrect huge brands, but only if you use it the right way. The best brands know that you have to go beyond the gloss to create a deeper connection between the brand and the celebrity, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to another Brand Psychology Masterclass, brought to you by Choice Hacking. If you're new to this channel, my name is Jen Kleinhens. I am an author and a behavior change strategist, and I like to uncover the hidden psychology behind how the world's biggest brands became so successful and turn those discoveries into lessons that anyone can apply. In this video, we're going to talk about 3 examples of how applying the halo effect can radically change the direction of brands like McDonald's, Nike, and even, love them or hate them, Crocs. And stay tuned to the end of the video, where I'm going to drop a little-known psychology principle that acts as the secret sauce that makes the halo effect so impactful for celebrities and for brands. So let's get started. First, let's talk McDonald's. Throughout its history, McDonald's has known that celebrity holds power, and they've partnered with people like Justin Timberlake, Destiny's Child, and even Batman's been in a McDonald's commercial. But these were mostly surface-level endorsements. They never really went deeper to tie the brand and the celebrity together in a meaningful way. It felt like celebrities were partnering with McDonald's just to get a paycheck, and they didn't really love and embrace the brands, they just lent their faces to the product. Enter the Cactus Jack meal, created by entertainer Travis Scott. When this meal debuted, McDonald's was suffering. With nationwide closures and uncertainty, their marketing plans were canceled or postponed until restaurants could reopen. According to Forbes, McDonald's had to trim its marketing spend by about 70% during this time. To combat the sales dips that resulted from the closures, McDonald's opened what it called its marketing war chest. They began investing in new and interesting marketing tactics.
This is very impressive.
One of those was partnering with celebrities to offer their favorite McDonald's order to the public. Their first partner was Travis Scott, whose Cactus Jack meal was so successful that CNBC reported shortages of Quarter Pounders across the country. McDonald's US quarterly sales rose 4.6%, which is pretty huge given what was happening in the country at that time. So what made the Travis Scott partnership different? Well, this use of the halo effect went deeper than just an endorsement. The so-called Cactus Jack meal was just a simple remix of existing products. A standard Quarter Pounder with cheese topped with lettuce and bacon, a side of fries with barbecue sauce, and a Sprite with extra ice. But it was those little personal touches that made it feel so authentic. Extra ice is something anybody can get, but it felt uniquely personal to Scott because it was pulled off of the existing menu. It made Travis Scott feel relatable, and it felt like you were getting something almost intimate when you ordered his meal. And that's our first lesson. To use the full power of the halo effect, authenticity is key. Tactics like co-creation can help lend a feeling of credibility to any celebrity or influencer partnership. And when you go deeper to create an authentic connection, the halo effect has the power to transform a brand. Now, the advertising agency that brought this idea to McDonald's are obviously brilliant, but their idea wasn't new. It just hadn't been done in a really long time. In 1992, McDonald's partnered with legendary NBA player and worldwide mega celebrity Michael Jordan, the subject of our second and probably most famous example. Now, most people know about or they've seen Air Jordans. They're the brand of shoes that Michael Jordan endorsed during his time as a professional basketball player. Now, looking back now, it seems like a no-brainer for Jordan to partner with Nike. Nike on a shoe. But in 1984, Nike wasn't the powerhouse brand that it is today. In fact, Jordan himself approached Converse, which was the brand that big players like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson worked with. Converse, in probably one of the stupidest moves in retail history, told Jordan he wouldn't get priority because at the time he wasn't a big name.
And told me we cannot envision you being put ahead of them. Okay, fine.
So Jordan then went to Adidas, who, because of their own internal corporate issues, told him that a shoe partnership, quote, wasn't possible at that time.
And move along, nothing to see here.
Michael Jordan's third choice, one that he had to be persuaded by his mother to even listen to, was an upstart shoe brand out of Portland, Oregon, known mostly for its track and field equipment. That brand, of course, was Nike, and their partnership on Air Jordans would go on to establish Nike as the biggest sports brand on the planet. Because of the halo effect of Michael Jordan and his incredible career, the Jordan brand is worth an estimated $10 billion, and Nike itself is now worth about $35 billion. And none of that would have been possible without the halo effect of Michael Jordan's stardom. But stardom isn't enough. Like the McDonald's meal, authenticity was key to the shoe's success. Michael Jordan helped Nike develop his shoe, and he actually wore Air Jordans in the NBA for a year before they were available for customers to purchase. Now, the first time he wore them in a game, the league actually fined him because the shoes didn't match his uniform, and they told Jordan that if he continued to wear the shoes, he'd be fined $5,000 a game. Now, Nike knew a marketing opportunity when they saw one. They agreed to pay the $5,000 a game for Jordan to wear the shoes, and then they began spinning that fine into a legend. A legend of shoes that were so revolutionary that they were banned by the National Basketball Association. After this genius piece of marketing, the buzz around Air Jordans was huge. They quickly sold out. They were scarce and they were hard to get a hold of. And that combination of the halo effect, driven by the authenticity of being thrown out of the NBA, and the scarcity of the shoe itself, ended up being a magic combination. It made Air Jordans so coveted that it put Nike on a rocket ship to market dominance. And that's our second lesson. Pairing scarcity with the halo effect, especially when it's charged with authority, has the power to establish and grow a brand. Now, for our last example, we're going to leave the world of cool, fashionable products and take a trip down to Ugly Shoes Town. That's right, we're talking about Crocs.
What the hell are you? No! No! No!
In the early 2000s, Crocs was unstoppable. Everyone seemed to be into this ugly but super comfortable shoe. It was a bona fide hit product, but by 2007, the fad had started to fade. Crocs lost over $185 million that year, and it looked like their time was coming to an end, if not for a tattooed musician from Syracuse, New York, known to the world as Post Malone.
You don't want to get people to be bored of your feet. You know, you got to keep your feet popping, as you can tell.
Post Malone was a self-identified Crocs addict. He partnered with the brand in 2018 to create a shoe called the Dimitri, but usually referred to as the Posty Croc. The Posty Croc features personalization charms called gibbets that were personal to Post Malone himself, including a version of his face tattoo that says, "Stay away." This collaboration raised some eyebrows at first, but after the first collection sold out in under 3 hours, people stopped laughing. Other Crocs fans soon lined up to join in the Crocs collaboration. Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, and others have joined the trend. Even fashion house Balenciaga, one of the pioneers of the so-called ugly fashion trend, has done a high-end collaboration with Crocs. And although they worked with Crocs before Post Malone, their collab didn't really affect the broader market in the way that Post Malone's did, mainly because their Crocs were impractical to wear, and they cost about $850 for a pair. But also because Balenciaga isn't that well known to the general public, at least not in the way that a famous musician and actor is. Post Malone's celebrity halo effect was more powerful than Balenciaga's brand, but there is something that they share. Both Post Malone and Balenciaga are authorities in so-called ugly fashion and athleisure, and they both can help establish or decide what's cool for the rest of us. And that's our last lesson. By combining authority, in this case on what's fashionable, with the halo effect, you can resurrect a brand from the ashes, like Crocs. brands. In all of our examples, co-creation of a product with a celebrity was a key part of the campaign's success. But why do people even want something that a celebrity has helped create? Well, it's down to a psychology principle known as parasocial interaction. That's our surprise principle that I mentioned at the start of the video. Basically, parasocial interactions describe how audiences start to bond with mass media performers. After watching them perform year after year, fans start to identify with performers in a way that creates a kind of one-way friendship. They naturally want that relationship to continue, and buying something a celebrity has co-created makes them feel closer. If you've made it this far, I hope that means you're enjoying the video, so I want to say a big thank you. And if I could ask you one small favor, could you please like the video? We're trying for 501 likes, and every single one counts. Every like helps YouTube's algorithm get the message that other people might get some value from watching this video. So each one really makes a huge difference to a new channel like ours.